Hey everyone, it's me again, the man of many titles. You might be wondering what the heck I'm doing in such a dark place like this. Well, guess what? We've got technology, electricity at that. But guess what else we've got? Indoor plumbing, working toilets and all. Not just toilets either. We've got all sorts of modern marvels that many people, who knows how many years ago, could easily have dreamed of. Heck, we have running water. Not just running water, but we don't have to bathe in a nearby river or stream. Because guess what? Showers. Not just showers that use cold water, but we can also have hot water as well. And how do we get this hot water, you might ask? Well, that's a simple question to answer as soon as I shut off the lights. Behold, water heaters. An electric one, if I remember correctly. Not just a water heater, we've also got an in-home air conditioning and heating system. I know this all seems commonplace, but just all these wonderful modern marvels are rather nice. We've got even more than that. Check this out. Refrigeration. Refrigeration can come big or small in a small little mini fridge like this or a big refrigerator. But anytime I like, I can get myself cold water or even soda. And that's pretty cool, I think. And that's not all. Behold one of the greatest marvels to ever exist. An in-home entertainment system. And by this I mean a television. And not only do we have an in-home entertainment system, video games. I know, but seriously. You can play video games whenever you want, or rather I can. Thanks to the modern marvels of electricity and so many other things. Even 50 years ago, if I wanted to be fully entertained, I would have to bother someone else. Now I can just be alone and still be perfectly entertained and perfectly happy. Which, you've got to admit, that's pretty good, right? It's really, really, really cool. And I think that's a pretty interesting thing. And not just that, we still do have books for entertainment as well. But even so, until rather recently, we would not have comic books or manga like this one. We just wouldn't. Most books back then were just informational text for some important instruction manual for some machine or something, or just important information regarding medicine or farming or something. And even then, those didn't really exist in such a high capacity until, 200 years ago? 300 at most? No earlier than the invention of the printing press, and even then, the printing press was just used for, news. And yeah, I think you can get what I'm getting at. We have all these wonderful electrical or just modern marvels of technology and whatnot, and we live lives far more prosperous and more interesting than we could have ever imagined we would 100 or 200 years ago, or even more. People 1,000 years ago could only dream of marvels like this. It's a beautiful thing, I think. And yet, I am rather happy we have all this stuff. I really am. And yet at the very same time, why are we still miserable? Look, don't get me wrong, I'd rather have this stuff than not, but it's kind of disappointing that we have greater lives of prosperity than we could have ever imagined, and yet all of us are still miserable. And even if you don't live in a place as nice as this one, if you live in just a common apartment or something, most people still have basic electricity, basic running water, and an in-home heating system and cooling system. But like, aside from that, like, we have modern marvels that you couldn't have even imagined. Heck, even Wi-Fi, and yet, despite all this, we live far more miserable lives these days. We should be far happier than we actually are. I'm like, everything in this room is something that people would have dreamed of in this particular basement or in this house. I'm not going to take a run through of the whole thing, you get the point, but like, still, technology has made our lives far better and far easier. And yet, we still aren't exactly happy. And that's honestly kind of sad. Like, take the take these blankets and pillows and whatnot. Somebody had to have made them in a factory, most likely in China, but you still get the point. This very small sheet of covers, they would not have been possible to make any time before the Industrial Revolution. Even if someone did make it back then, it would have taken so much labor that it would have become a luxury. And that's just sad, you know? Like, it's nice that we have this now. Heck, even Stretch here. Hello, Stretch. This little goose duck thing that stretches, hence the name. He's so cute. He was probably made in a factory somewhere, if not in China, then some other place with industrialization. But like, something like this would not have been possible to have been made even just 50 to 100 years ago without the modern things we have now. Like, I greatly appreciate that we have all this stuff. I greatly appreciate that mankind has advanced this far, but like, it's it's kind of strange that we can't even appreciate these marvels more than we do, because it's just I'm getting choked up already. Like, even if you just have the absolute basics of basics and live a rather frugal life, we still have things that people did not have 100 years ago, 200 years ago. Wi-Fi didn't exist until, what, 20-ish years ago at the earliest? It's like in the 90s, computers had to be connected to landlines. You couldn't use them on a phone at the same time. And speaking of phones, we have smartphones now that allow us to communicate instantaneously with anyone no matter where they happen to be, so long as they also have a phone, or even just access to the internet. Like, that's so cool, right? And yet, it's just kind of sad that we can't really appreciate this stuff because we're constantly worried about money or just suddenly not having this stuff just because of things completely outside of our control, you know? Like, why should we have to rent apartments? We should be living very prosperous lives, and yet we don't. We do live prosperous lives, yet we're too miserable to see it because we're constantly worrying about making rent or just not having enough money next month just because some other company somewhere far away from here just decided to lay off all their workers. Isn't that just miserable? Like, we should be a lot happier and live much better lives, and yet, for some reason, we don't. And don't get me started on healthcare. I don't know why I started ranting all of a sudden. Well, anyways, we have tons of modern marvels that have made our lives far better and far happier, and just are really impressive, all things considered. Our society has improved quite a lot from the days where everybody just had to farm. And that's another thing, food. Like, way back when, everybody had to be farmers, Everyone was a sustenance farmer, whether they liked it or not, and the very few who weren't had to rely on everyone else who did farm, paying just a little bit in taxes just so they could eat. Even then, they were still providing valuable goods and services in return. Potters were making pots, artists were making art builders and craftsmen and other people were doing whatever it is they were doing. So, yeah, it's not like they were doing nothing, but everyone was doing something, and even then, people had barely anything but the clothes on their backs, which even those took forever to make because there weren't any such things as sewing machines or looms or machines to actually make fabric and whatnot, and looms and all that other stuff. Everything had to be made by hand, so most modern clothing, which is actually made of cotton or some other fiber, just would not exist. There's a reason why most people back then wore furs or leather. It's... And as for the food itself, nowadays, we have means of getting food, and heck, even getting food delivered straight to our homes. Not even in the 90s could you do that. If you did get food delivered, it was mostly just, guess what? Pizza, or maybe Chinese food if you were lucky. Nowadays, we have things like Uber Eats, but even then, that didn't really exist until like 5 years ago. So, yeah, we have a ton of modern marvels in our lives that just a whole bunch of people from way back when will be very happy to experience. But, like, still, you get the point, right? We have all this wonderful stuff, all these wonderful, wonderful things, because our society and all of our inventions have improved things so much that it's made our lives much easier and happier, and yet we have so many problems that are technically still caused by technology, or if not by technology, someone else who just makes things worse for everyone for some reason, usually money. Even then, I'm still happy for the invention of money because it means that we can still trade for stuff instead of just constantly having to hope that we have something else that someone else wants in exchange for what we want. There is a reason why, even though bartering is slightly more convenient, we don't really use it that much. But I'm getting ahead of myself already. Just, I'm already forgetting what I was trying to say. I don't know. It's just, we have so many modern marvels now, but we can't really be happy anymore. Like, I still appreciated all this stuff exists. I'd rather have it than not. But even so, we should still be living better lives. I know life could technically be worse, but life could be a lot better, too. I don't really know. Like, I don't think people should be working paycheck to paycheck just to have some of these nice things. And I don't think people should have to work themselves to the bone just to afford to be able to actually live in a house. We shouldn't all have to worry about having to just live off the land and live with absolutely nothing. I don't like having nothing. I don't think anyone likes having nothing. And like, even those people who do live off the grid, whether it's by choice or through some other circumstances, like, having to live off of only the things you can catch or only the things you can grow in the middle of the woods somewhere, that's no life to live, and there's a reason that we as a society and we as humankind have just moved on from living like this a long time ago. Like, we live in houses now. We live in apartments at the very least. Shouldn't it be a lot easier to, have our basic needs met? I think the only reason that many jobs still pay people so little and are justified in doing so is because if we don't, we won't have these things, which shouldn't even be the case to begin with. Like, the Industrial Revolution and modern technology and modern practices has made farming so easy now that, like, everybody is able to eat, even though most of us don't farm. But even so, food costs money. it shouldn't cost nearly as much as it does just to eat. And, like, shouldn't housing be free, or if not free, so cheap that most people can afford it, if not everybody? And don't get me started on other basic needs like water and other things. And again, don't get me started on healthcare. Like, people shouldn't have to worry about being in who knows how many thousands of dollars of debt just for going to a hospital if they're sick or hurt. I think we can all agree on that, right? 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 Anyways. Anyways, you get the point, I guess. I'm rambling too much now, but I don't know. It's nice that we have these nice things, I guess. Even those with less stuff than I happen to have, or more stuff than I happen to have, having some of these things are just a wonderful thing, but at the same time, life could still be much, much better. I guess that's all for now.